everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Nicole. If you are new, hi, and if you are not new, welcome back. Arthur also says hi. We just got back from having Starbucks. He deserved a little pup cup today, I thought, so wanted to treat him. And now we're probably gonna head home. But for today's video, it is about honoring heirlooms for me. And hopefully it will inspire you, give you ideas. So I inherited some cookbooks from Dan's grandma. Fortunately, she is not really cooking anymore due to her age, and she is showing signs of dementia. So unfortunately, the whole cooking thing isn't really a big thing for her anymore. She does bake cookies still occasionally, but yeah. And so since the family knows I'm a really big cook, they gifted me his grandma's cookbooks. I got to kind of pick and choose which ones I really wanted. I kind of gravitated more towards the vintage style ones and ones that I felt like I could actually maybe cook out of. So I grabbed a couple, but I thought, you know, instead of just putting them in the bookshelf like normal, like I would with any book, I really wanted to make it special, not only for me, but for my partner and my partner Dan. And so I decided to get creative with it and did something a little different. And I will show you what I did. So before I began decorating the shelves, I definitely wanted to wipe it all down. Anytime I'm doing something like this, I see it as also an opportunity to really like deep clean the area and just kind of start fresh. So that is what I'm doing here. Just going to take everything off the shelves and wipe them down. So one of my favorite things that I own, and I don't know if I want them displayed on the shelf or not. I kind of been debating on, do I want like a little basket in my bookshelf and then just put these in there, but I don't know. But one of my favorite things is I have collected old Martha Living magazines, and I got kind of her seasons ones, like Christmas, October. This one, I believe, this one, April, February, and I have more over here. I love getting these magazines. They live up to today. They actually aged really well. So anytime I find these, I will definitely get them for a good price though. So I also have this. This is a real Le Creuset mini version. And Dan had this one. I have a Valentine's Day one. We got these when we worked at Crate and Barrel together. He must have got this because, I mean, look how cute it is. I got the Valentine's Day one because I thought, oh, I could put like little chocolates inside and have it sitting on like a table. But now I'm thinking these would be really cute on the shelf for my cookbook area. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to clean this and then have it as like an option as decor. So I'm going to start over here. Here's the finished look. So that coffee grinder was handed down by Dan's grandmother, and then there's the Jello box full of recipes that I took down, recipes from my grandma's, recipes from friends. So they're all in that little box right there. And then we have our cookbooks, and you can see we have a mix of old and new. Some I bought, Some were gifted, handed down. But the thing that made me the most happiest is this section here. As you can see, I put pictures of our grandmas in the kitchen. And we were fortunate enough to have grandmothers who loved to cook. And I will say my two grandmothers, who are right here, they definitely inspired me when it came to cooking. And now Dan's grandmother is inspiring me as well. So this is her in her kitchen. That's Dan's grandma. This is my mother's mom. This is my grandma. And I thought putting the Julia Childs book with her picture fit really well since the colors go nicely. And then this is my dad's mother, my other grandma. And I put the dollar horses next to her because she's Scandinavian. And of course I had to put her next to Martha Stewart. And she gave me these Ina Garten books. So this is definitely my grandma section. And then I put this picture of the lake because my grandma lives in lake country. And then Dan's grandma, these two books are hers. And I put the little Le Creuset there. And this is actually a real Le Creuset. So I just thought that was perfect right there. But I love her little vintage style books. And then it continues, and then there's her other coffee grinder. I do have an old coffee can here. I think I'm going to put a little bit of like burlap inside, since coffee beans come in burlap sacks. That way it hides this kind of weird divide happening. You'll kind of polish it up a bit. And then this is my home ec books. So home decor, art, and just things that inspire me when it comes to being a homemaker and a designer. That's why I put that little chair there. But overall, this little spot on my bookshelf just brings a lot of joy to me. And I love that we get to see their beautiful faces every time I want to grab like a cookbook or something. And then after the whole bookshelf thing, I thought, okay, now I want to showcase this other thing that was given to me, which I've had this already for a while. I inherited my great-grandmother's spoon collection. She was the one who inspired me to collect spoons, so I inherited her spoons. My mom, I believe, thrifted me a spoon rack for them. And so I got the spoon rack, and it just kind of started to look kind of dated. A lot of those spoon racks are like this super dark brown. And so I kind of decided to give it a little uplift. And then of course, I don't remember the last time the spoons have been polished, so I wanted to give that a try. And so I'll show you what that whole process was like. Now I do want to sit in the sun while I do this, just because when you're in the shade it's a little cold. At least while sitting in the sun, I'm getting that warmth and that vitamin D that I feel like we're all depleted on from the winter. But I'm just gonna go ahead and lightly sand it down. Okay, so I finished sanding. This is what she looks like right now. Obviously a little rough, but now I'm gonna get a wet cloth and just kind of wipe her down, get all that dust and sanding dust off prior to painting, because you don't want to mix that all in with the paint. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab that, and then we can start our first coat. And to get in between the little notches, I actually use some Q-tips. I wet them down and just kind of glide them through the little, notch areas to get the dust and debris off. Because you definitely don't want to leave that as well. I would say just don't do shortcuts. Do it right, get it clean right before painting. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and shake this up and then paint just the back side like I said before. Let it dry, kind of decide if I like the color, and if so, we'll continue on the front. I also don't know, I probably will have to do 2 coats of this because it is a really dark color wood. So if I like the color when it dries on the first layer, obviously I'll put the second one on. But so what cracks me up about what I just said was, oh, if I like the color. Well, guys, it pretty much was a type of white. I thought with it being called Dove Wing and the way the sample looked at the hardware store, it looked like it would be a contrast from my walls, but to be fairly honest, it is pretty close to my wall color. So thankfully it was like, how would you say, as Bob Ross would say, a happy mistake. You know, at first I was like, oh great, like I'm probably gonna have to go back and get different paint. But then once I finished, and you'll see, I actually prefer it. And if I do decide that I want a bold color, I could just see this as, a primer, if anything. It's a good backdrop for if I ever wanted it to be like a blue or maybe a beige, whatever. So, but for now, it actually worked, and you're gonna see it actually looks really nice. He's just baking like a baked potato over there. Which he should do because tomorrow it's supposed to rain. Ooh! Sorry, I had a bug land on me. Ew. So it's looking dry. I might be able to finish this today, which is exciting. I think 2 coats was actually enough. Looks pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on this side. Oop, there's one section that's still wet. That's okay. It's mainly this part was still a little wet because I had like a little glob of paint right there. But let me go ahead and get this started. Okay, so I put 2 coats on. I'm gonna go ahead and let that dry. And then from there, I'll decide if it needs a 3rd coat, and if not, then we can get this back inside. So clearly this is the next day. This video is probably gonna take me a couple days to finish just because I work full time, so does my partner. I need his help putting the spoon rack up. I know I could probably do it myself, but he seems like he wants to do it for me. Whatever. Anyways, I wanted to show you guys my spoons though. So here are the spoons that were originally on the rack at my old house. I just kind of put them in a bag because unfortunately I was in a hurry when it came to moving. But looking at them, they definitely need some polishing. I got some of them are really starting to look a little worn, you know. Also, some of them are just plain dirty. So I would like to give them a good polishing. Like you can even tell that this one's from Brazil. You can tell it needs some polishing. But I also obviously have more spoons in here. So I have more spoons than I ever needed. They're coming out of my ears. But I could probably use like 2 spoon racks. Most likely won't do that though. So what I tend to do is I switch them out. So it kind of keeps it fresh, you know? But before I put these on the rack, they do require good cleaning. And there's 2 ways you can do it. You can either, I guess, get a bowl, line it with foil, fill it up with boiling hot water, some salt and baking soda, and then you just throw all the spoons in there, let them sit for a few hours. And I guess like the reaction of the baking soda, salt, and the foil actually polishes the spoon without having to really like scrub them. Of course though, if it is like something that does require a little bit more scrubbing, there is also a way where you could do, in general, you can also do it this way, which is probably the way I'm going to do it. But you can create like a baking soda paste. I think it's like 3 parts baking soda, 1 part water. And then you get like a little brush, and most people use like a toothbrush, and you can kind of just scrub it and then rinse. And that tends to work really well. I wouldn't use like polishing wipes or anything like that on stuff like this, just because there is like artwork and such, and you just don't want to destroy the spoon. So it's better to go a little bit more on the natural side, which is why I'm most likely going to do the paste, because I'm not too sure how harsh it is to do it the foil and bowl way. So I'd rather just play it safe and just do each spoon by hand. Not very fun, right? But I don't know. I would feel really bad if I ruined, you know, a spoon that my great-grandmother gave me. So rather play it safe. So I'll go ahead and do that. That way when the spoon rack is finally up, I can put these beautiful babies on there and they look all nice and shiny. And then I can show you guys some of my favorites that I've collected, but that was also given to me. There's one spoon in particular that is my ultimate favorite, and it was the reason why I started collecting spoons in the first place. So I'll definitely show you that one. Also, anytime you are doing any kind of polishing, even if it's baking soda, best to wear gloves. Always advised to wear gloves. And use a microfiber cloth. You want to use like something soft, nothing coarse. So if you don't own a microfiber cloth, of course, I think that you can get them pretty much anywhere, but easiest place I know of is a like hardware store or a car parts store. You know, they always have those things. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. That will take some time. I want to at least get the ones in the bags done. The ones not in the bags, I can always save those for later, but I know for sure the ones in the bags are my favorite, so I'd like to try to get those all polished and cleaned up. So here I am with my rubber gloves and my glass bowl. I would advise using a glass bowl. I am putting the 3 spoonfuls of baking soda. And when it comes to that baking soda, looking at how large it is, I'm going to assume we got that at Costco. To be honest, I can't quite remember entirely, but that is a monster size amount of baking soda. So I am going to assume that is where it's from. But after that, I do add a spoonful of warm water. I would say start with that, then mix it up. It's not going to be like, how can I say it? It's not going to be like super pasty, but kind of. You don't want it too watery and not too dry. So you're going to have to kind of eyeball it a little bit, but you'll catch the drift, trust me. I think I had to add a little bit of warm water just because it was a little too dry. But once I did that, then the consistency was perfect. So what I've made clean has also made something else very dirty. So I'm gonna have to wipe down my kitchen, and that's just what comes with it. Here she is in all her glory. And of course, it was kind of funny because I thought it was gonna be different, like from the wall, but it actually kind of blends in, which I'm not entirely mad at. I didn't really want it to be like in your face. And more, I'm actually really glad I did it white because it really brings out the color of the spoons and it really makes them sparkle. So I would rather it be more people focusing on what's on the rack than actually the rack itself. So I'm not mad at it. I actually think it looks really good. It looks really clean. And since I polished the spoons, they look really nice. Just so you guys are aware, this half is like, it's like this and partially this. I even think I may have scattered some of hers down here. I couldn't remember, but at least this half is hers, my great-grandmother's. And the other half is mine. Also, some of these were given to me as gifts from other people's travels when I was really young because they knew I liked to collect spoons. So like this one, I really like. Hold on. Let's see if I could get him off. He's a little weird shaped, but like this one is from Australia. I've never been to Australia, but it's cool to have a spoon from Australia, especially if they're not entirely making these anymore. But this is it. And what I love about this is it's honoring my great-grandma, but also just my great-grandparents in general. It makes me really happy to like look at this and be reminded of the places that they traveled, because they used to travel and go on vacations. And you know, I'm still kind of in awe of all the places that they actually went, and there's so many places that I still need to go. So yeah, it's just really cool to look at. I love looking at all this stuff, and also being reminded of the places other people that love me have went. So like my dad, he used to travel for work quite a bit, and I have some spoons that he's given me. And so they, of course, remind me of him. And So this is very special. You can only get, I want you guys to guess though, what spoon that my great grandmother had on this part of the rack that inspired me to start collecting spoons. I don't know if you guys can see very closely. Let me see. But you can only guess which one it is. Sorry. As a child and you're looking at a spoon rack, obviously it's probably going to be this guy right here. This is the spoon that started it all. It started with a mouse. Literally. I saw this spoon and immediately I was like, I want to collect spoons. And this was my favorite spoon since I was a little girl. I so love this spoon right here. It doesn't say the year on it, but it's a Disneyland spoon. Has the castle on it. That one's really cool. And it's really cool because I'd never been to, at the time when my great grandmother had this, I'd never been to Epcot. I went to Epcot later, but now that I've been there, it's like, hey, I actually been here. So has a little more significance now. Oh, but yeah, there's so many spoons that I love. This one's really cool. This one's from Brazil. My parents went to Brazil. I actually have 2 Brazil spoons that they gave me. But there she is. So pretty much my message for you all today, or friendly reminder, is anytime your family gives you something that is of, you know, a family heirloom, family memories, try to find ways to honor it instead of having it tucked away in a closet, in a box. There's always creative ways to kind of give it life, right? So I find it very important anytime my family gives me something. I want to take care of it, show it love. If it needs a new coat of paint, maybe do that. If it's something that requires, you know, a professional to help rejuvenate it, like artwork or whatever, don't hesitate. Go ahead and do it. Like, save up your money, but it's always worth it in the end. And the thing that brings me so much joy is that the people that come to, you know, my house or your house, when you have things like this displayed, it's definitely a conversation piece, and it allows you to share happy memories of your family. And so I'm very excited for when I have visitors that will come and see this and ask me about it, and even ask me, like, you've been to all these places, you know, it opens up a whole thing. And then it allows me to also talk about my great grandparents again, which I am always wanting to talk about them. I miss them so much. And I think about them actually often. So yes, don't hesitate. Don't wait. There's always ways to showcase, you know, the love and memories of our family. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video today, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.